not that hard until you get about 3.5 stories up, which is basically, like you're in the death fall zone. And then if you don't have your hands and your feet in the exact right position, and if you're not mentally set, the mountain shoots a little curve at you that can just totally unnerve you.
Okay, this is me climbing in Santa Barbara. This is Gibraltar Mountain. My dad and I went up here, I think this was in April. I actually first climbed this mountain at 11. My dad and rock climber John, I think we have a picture of me climbing with him when I was 11 or 12. I climbed it a couple times. Then I came back at 16. I think I was overconfident. I got almost like 10 feet from the top. Psychologically, it was just harder because I actually knew how high I was at that point. It's not a very hard climb. The only real tough spots are getting off the ground in the very beginning, which isn't that tough. It's a pretty big crack. This crack here, you pretty much make your way straight up it. And then you have to traverse across. Then there's a ledge. You kind of have to. You gotta get up, which is the crux. It's probably 10 or 15 feet, and from the top. And once you cross that, you're pretty much free and clear. This is in Santa Barbara, so it's about a 2.5 hour drive from where we were. We got here early. I think this is probably 7 or so in the morning before anyone else got there, so we were the only ones climbing. And by the time we left, usually there's 2 or 3 ropes, 2 or 3 people climbing this thing, at a time during the day. So it's kind of nice. We got up at 4, and we're actually off the mountain, I think, by 10 or so.
But yeah, when you've been on it for as long as you have, and people come up and they say, well, you can't be on this diet because you're going to be deficient in B12, protein, iron, calcium, whatever their concerns are, and you feel great and you know that you're in better health than 99% of the people your age, then there's really not much that they can do to sort of get to you. This is my dad. He died about 10 years ago, around the same time as Storm's mom. They both got to meet Raven, our firstborn, my firstborn, our first child together. They got to meet Raven once before they passed away, within about a year of each other. My father, he was a smoker and he ate a lot, big eater and smoker, and strangely the food got to him before the cigarettes did, because he was a pack-a-day smoker all his life, all his adult life. So that was a big wake-up call for me when He died of massive organ failure at the age of 65. He had diabetes, he had a slight bit of emphysema, he had some heart problems. And when he went into the hospital in some kind of diabetic coma, they discovered that all his organs were shutting down. He could no longer digest food. All his digestive organs were shutting down. So they asked him in the hospital if there was anything he wanted, and he said he wanted to have a hamburger and a Coke. And they said, well, you can't do that. You can't digest that. That's, that would kill you. And he said, oh, well. And they got him his hamburger and Coke. They okayed it with my mom. And sure enough, the next day, he was dead. I got to speak with him the night before he died. I was in California. He was in Sweden when he died. And we had a nice conversation. He was high on morphine. And he lived, he made his choices, and he lived the life he wanted to live. And he had certain, knowledge of nutrition that I think kept him alive longer than other males in his family. He never expected to live past 50. That was his family history. The males in his family died of heart failure around 50. So he lived to be a ripe old age for his family at 65, and he swore by garlic and vitamin E and cranberry juice. Those were his superfoods. And he did lots of them, and bananas.
This is a picture of my mom's in her early 20s. She was a beautiful, bright woman. Put herself through Wayne State University School of Social Work, graduated with a master's degree with honors, spoke fluent German, grew up in a house with books in 3 different languages. This is my mom when she was in her 60s, early 60s, 62. Still a bright, beautiful spirit, a love of life, love of living. Her and my dad did a lot of traveling. They're in their golden years. They're traveling all around. And this is my mom after it was discovered that she had stomach cancer, and they caught it too late. The doctor misdiagnosed her, and it was terminal. She wanted to have her family with her, so she called everybody. My dad called everybody, and we all went to see her. I stayed after everybody left. I stayed with her for 2 weeks in the Ford Hospital terminally ill cancer ward. And it was one of the hardest things I ever did. And I think after she passed away, I became very angry. It was hard to lose your family. I've lost so many of my relatives to debilitating diseases. And I totally believe that is directly related, to our diet. So for me, diet is a very serious thing. I approach it with total sincerity, totally earnest, because of my family history and the things